Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving deep into a dramatic and audacious strike that seems to have shaken one of Russia's most critical logistical arteries. Ukraine's alleged underwater drone attack on the Crimea, Kerch Bridge. The reports claim that this operation has put Vladimir Putin and his regime in shock by striking at Russia's supply lifeline to the annexed peninsula. Let's break down what likely happened, the military and symbolic implications, and what this could mean in the days ahead. It all begins in the early hours of June 3, 2025, when Ukraine's Security Service, SBU, announced that they had detonated an explosive device beneath the waves, targeting the underwater pillars supporting the Kerch, Crimea bridge. Reuters. According to their claim, some 100 kilograms of explosives, TNT equivalent, were used in the blast, planted over a period of months, designed to inflict structural damage on this key maritime link. The Washington Post. The Kerch Bridge is nothing less than a strategic corridor. It connects mainland Russia's transportation network directly to Crimea, carrying both road and rail traffic. Since Russia's annexation of Crimea in 2014, control of that bridge has been a logistical and symbolic lifeline. Al Jazeera. For Russia, it's a prestige project and a means of sustaining supply lines into occupied territory. For Ukraine, it has been a prominent and recurrent target. The Guardian. According to Ukraine's side, the plan was clever and patient. Covertly place explosives on the bridge's pillars underwater. Wait until the right moment, then remotely detonate the charges. The explosion, they claim, hit the underwater supports at the seabed level, weakening their integrity. The Washington Post. In the video evidence released by the SBU, one sees an eruption of water and debris near one of the bridge supports, suggestive of a powerful detonation below the surface. The Washington Post. Immediately, Russian media and officials responded with denial or minimization. The Kremlin admitted an explosion had occurred, but insisted the bridge remained intact, fully functional, and that no critical damage had been sustained. Al Jazeera. They also reported the suspension of bridge traffic between 4 a.m. and 7 a.m. local time, but claimed that operations soon resumed. Al Jazeera. The Russian narrative emphasized that the bridge was fully operational again shortly thereafter and that the attack was being overstated. Al Jazeera. So, is the explosion enough to claim a decisive Ukrainian victory? We must be cautious. The public claims are bold. The counterclaims are firm. The truth likely lies somewhere in the murky middle. From a structural engineering perspective, damaging underwater supports is a grave blow. Even if the bridge's superstructure appears intact, if the pillars anchoring it are compromised, future loads, especially heavy train or military convoys, could test weakened foundations. The underwater part of a bridge is notoriously difficult to repair, assess, or reinforce, especially in contested territory. The very act of attacking those submerged pillars sends a signal, not just militarily but psychologically. The Daily Jagran. Some independent observers and military analysts suggest that whatever damage was inflicted, it may not be enough to collapse the bridge outright. Instead, the intention may have been to generate disruption, impose risk, and force Russia into costly repairs or defensive measures. In that sense, even a partial success is meaningful. Al Jazeera. A few hours of closure, logistical delays, or restricted rail capacity might chip away at Russia's rear area resilience. The boldness of striking under the water underscores several capabilities or intentions from the Ukrainian side. Covert operations, underwater drone or mining capability, intelligence that could stealthily place charges, and the nerve to target one of the most defended links to Crimea. Whether sea drones were involved or specialized submersible devices or diver teams, Ukraine clearly signals competence in asymmetric warfare. Now let's imagine Putin hearing of this. For him, the bridge is not just a crossing, it's one of his political trophies, an emblem of Russian triumph over Crimea. Any damage or vulnerability in that project is a blow to prestige. On the very day of the strike, Russian state media published images of traffic continuing on the bridge as though to prove resilience, and Putin himself mocked the operation. The Times of India. He attempted to spin the narrative. The bridge is strong, Russia is undeterred. But in doing so, he must mask internal unease. Such an adversarial act close to a symbolic asset puts pressure on Putin on multiple fronts, domestically among his supporters who expect strength and invulnerability, and among the military elite who now must divert resources to inspect or reinforce defenses. At the same time, it allows Ukraine to frame the narrative that Russian occupation infrastructure is vulnerable and that Ukraine has the capability to strike deep at enemy lifelines. From the logistical angle, any delay or doubt at the bridge could complicate Russia's reinforcements. Supply convoys, fuel movement, and rail shipment into Crimea and even towards southern Ukraine fronts. If the damage forces restrictions on heavy loads or necessitates rerouting, it becomes a pain point not just militarily, but economically. The symbolic ripple might encourage further strikes against Russian supply chains. Looking ahead, we should expect a few developments. First, Russia will likely intensify security measures around the bridge, underwater inspections, deployment of sensors, counter-drone systems, barrier nets, or even closing certain sections to heavy traffic. They may also accelerate patch repairs or reinforce pillars. Second, Ukraine may seek to follow up with further drone or sabotage operations before Russian fixes can fully take effect. Third, Russia might attempt reprisal strikes in Ukraine as a signal of deterrence. Fourth, this event might pressure backers of Ukraine to raise the stakes. If Ukraine can pull off underwater strikes, what else can their arsenal do? And finally, in global perception, Ukraine could leverage this incident to boost its reputation as a technologically agile resistance power. But there are risks and caveats. If Russia reveals that the damage is minimal or quickly repaired, the blow to prestige diminishes. If civilian traffic, trade, or connectivity suffers more than intended, there may be backlash among populations in contested regions. If the attack is shown to have been sloppy or to expose vulnerabilities in Ukraine's own planning or security, Russia could exploit those. Also, each strike escalates the tit-for-tat risk. Each side may push harder and reach toward escalation thresholds. Ultimately, the narrative line here is powerful. Ukraine is hitting Russia where it thinks it is safe, striking underwater into the fortress of Putin's infrastructure. It signals desperation and innovation and forces Russia to respond defensively rather than offensively in that area for some time. Whether the bridge ends up crippled or merely shaken, the psychological impact is real. In sum, this underwater drone or explosive strike against the Kerch Bridge is more than a tactical operation. It challenges Russia's sense of control and confidence. It forces attention, resources, and narrative into a defensive posture. It tells Putin and Moscow that nothing, including their most cherished infrastructural symbols, is immune. And for Ukraine, it bolsters morale, offers propaganda wins, and chokes one more artery of Russian logistical reach. That's the story behind Putin in shock. Ukraine's underwater drone blows up Russia's lifeline bridge. Let me know what parts you'd like to explore next, whether it's the likely drone tech involved, the engineering behind bridge destruction, or what comes next on the front lines. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell, and I'll see you in the next one.